Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So, if you haven't checked out a recent video that I did in regards to NHL forwards or just players in general that I could see having career highs next season, make sure you do after this video as they go hand in hand. But continuing that first kind of idea I started with more so forwards in that video, I'm now going to discuss defensemen who I can really see have career highs next season. Now, these defensemen are all players in the league that I've been following really since they've been drafted. I've been big fans of the majority of them, and they're just some of the many young defensemen who have really been taking over the NHL in recent years, but haven't hit their peak yet. And these are players that aren't even necessarily close to hitting their peak, and some that are closer, of course, depending on their ages and how long they've been in the league. But nonetheless, I still expect all these players to have a 10 to possibly 20-point jump in their overall play next season. So to start off this list, I have Rasmus Dahlin. Rasmus Dahlin, who we all know was very coveted leading up to his draft year a couple years ago, in which he was drafted first overall by the Buffalo Sabres. Dahlin has done a great job for the Sabres since being drafted. He is a smooth skater. He knows how to shoot the puck too, even though he has been high in goal scoring as of yet in his early career as an NHL defenseman. But he has great hockey IQ and very strong vision. He sees the ice very well, and whether you watch him as he's quarterbacking the power play or 5-on-5, he is unbelievably poised given his young age, and I fully expect him to continue to blossom more and more. And he has been compared to some of the greatest defensemen out of Sweden that have come to the NHL in all their history, with players like Erik Karlsson, Victor Hedman. Even though Hedman's a bigger player, he's known for his offensive upside, and many others. And there's even been speculation with the likes of the legend Nicholas Lidstrom, which is big shoes to fill, to say the least. Now, I wouldn't necessarily compare Dahlin to ever being a player like Lidstrom, but it just shows the comparisons due to their nationality and how a lot is expected of him and has been for years before he was even drafted. But what has Dahlin done in this past season? Well, in 59 games played, he had 4 goals, 36 assists for 40 points, and a +/-7. Those are really strong numbers given the fact that he played 20 games less, I should say, this past season than his rookie year, and still has around the same points, around 40. Now, next season, Dahlin being really in his third full season in the NHL, or at least close to, I fully expect him to take that next step in his overall game and have at least a 15-point jump. So I fully expect Dahlin to have upwards of between 55 and 60 points next season. Now, I understand that the team around him will definitely need to be better on the offensive front, but I expect Dahlin to be more incorporated in the offensive zone especially, and his overall game is only going to continue to get better. But next now on my list, and probably the most underrated player on this list, is Jakob Chychrun. I could be butchering his name, but the defenseman for the Arizona Coyotes, like on my shirt. He is a fantastic young defenseman. I've really liked his game for a couple years now, and really doesn't get enough recognition in my opinion, and I really think it goes hand in hand with playing in Arizona, unfortunately. But Jacob this season in 63 games played has 12 goals, 14 assists for 26 points, and a +/- of +4. Especially 12 goals, that's really impressive for a defenseman, especially of his size. He's a big body defenseman, of course. He's a superior skater, and he has a strong shot, and that has shown this past season with 12 goals. Now, Chychrun is one of those players who has been in the league for a little bit, but I really expect him to take that next step in his overall game next season. Along with not just him, the Coyotes, they need to shake things up offensively in order to get a rhythm, whether it be a change in the coaching staff, management, or just changing up their team in a couple aspects. I fully expect that to happen because the Coyotes, the past couple of seasons, have been on the brink of making playoffs, but just haven't been that playoff caliber team yet. But I fully expect them to be there, very close to at least next season. And Chychrun, I fully expect to be a big part of it. So next season, easily I could see Chychrun racking up 40+ points, and the goal scoring should stay true. He's been a decent goal scorer in his early NHL career as a defenseman, a two-way defenseman, very strong in his own zone too, really underrated. Like I said, I've been a big fan of his game for a while, and every time I get a chance to watch a Coyotes game, he always stands out to me. But next on my list now, I have one of my favorite guys out of all the NHL when it comes to young defensemen, and that is Miro Heiskanen. The young Finnish defenseman has really looked strong in the NHL since being drafted a couple years ago by the Dallas Stars. There's been comparisons a lot between him and Rasmus Dahlin. Now, I'm not going to favor one over the other. I really like them both equally, but Heiskanen is a fantastic young defenseman in all of the NHL. This season, in 68 games played, he had 8 goals, 27 assists for 35 points, and a plus-minus of plus 14. Now, Heiskanen last season as well had around 35, 40 points too, so I expect him to easily take a 15-point jump next season, but that does go hand in hand with the offense in front of him. Dallas, like the Arizona Coyotes, have struggled on the offensive front for a couple years now. Now, it's really up to them and their coaching staff if they are going to change things up next season. They have some of the better weapons in the NHL to do so, with the likes of Tyler Seguin, of course, Jamie Benn, even though he's not what he once was, in my opinion, and Joe Pavelski, who can still provide some offensive production. And then you have other guys like Rupe Hintz, who I'm a really big fan of, among other players. But I feel like they still have a decent core group to get it done, and who knows if they'll add anything in free agency or via trade at the season's end. It's going to be interesting, but I expect Dallas to be a better offensive-minded team going into next season, and Heiskanen is going to be a huge part, especially on the power play. He knows how to quarterback the power play and 5-on-5, similar to Dahlin and these other defensemen, just unbelievably poised in their own zone given their ages. Heiskanen is only 20 years old, and it seems like the sky is truly the limit when it comes to him, and I fully expect him to be upwards of 65 to 75 point defenseman in his NHL career. He has plenty of games that he's going to do in his career going forward. It is crazy looking at him, thinking he's only 20 years old. He can easily be in the league for the next 2 decades, which is insane to say, but he's just that good. So expect Heiskanen to have a significant jump in his overall game offensively, especially if the Dallas Stars can get a better offensive production on a nightly basis. But next on my list now, I have Mikhail Sergachev. Sergachev, another defenseman I am a big fan of as well. Since coming over from the Montreal Canadiens in the Jonathan Drouin trade, Mikhail Sergachev has done a great job with the Tampa Bay Lightning. And while he has been misutilized at times, in my opinion, given how stacked the Tampa Bay roster has been on the defensive front in recent years, with the injuries to guys like Ryan McDonough, who I'm a big fan of as a Rangers fan, and of course Victor Hedman and other guys on the blue line, I expect Sergachev to have a significant increase in play next season, more power play time, special teams overall, besides the time that he's already getting. And if you look at how his play was this season, in 70 games played, he had 10 goals, 24 assists for 34 points, and has a plus-minus of plus 15. And I also just wanted to add, when it comes to Miro Heiskanen too, because I didn't get a chance to bring this in, he's an excellent skater, as you probably know. He's very agile too, one of the more quick and agile defensemen on this list. He is a great puck mover on the power play, like I said, and has a very great high hockey IQ and great vision all over the ice. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I didn't for Heiskanen yet. But when it comes to Sergachev, he is of course a big body defenseman, a smooth skater, and has great offensive awareness and IQ. He is not a liability in his own zone by any means. He is great one-on-one, and that big body really does help him out, whether it be along the boards one-on-one with the forward, among other things. But on the offensive front, whether it be a power play or 5-on-5, he has really done a tremendous job, and like I said, had 34 points in this past season, and I fully expect him to have upwards of 50 plus points next season. I really think he's that good and will only get better. He's a very young defenseman still, and I expect him to get more playing time, with the unlikelihood of guys like Ryan McDonough fully staying healthy next season. Now, I'm a big fan of Ryan McDonough as a Rangers fan, but McDonough has dealt with his fair share of injuries in the past 4 or 5 years or so, and the same goes with some of the other guys on the blue line, and Victor Hedman needs to make sure he stays healthy. But given all uncertainty when it comes to players and their health, I fully expect Sergachev to have a pretty great year next season. But to finish off my list now, I have Colton Parayko. Parayko is probably the most seasoned player on this list that I have, but given not just the strong play that he has had in recent years and in the Stanley Cup winning run the St. Louis Blues had last season, overall, there's a lot that can be expected from him going into next season, as the likelihood of Alexander Pietrangelo staying with the St. Louis Blues after the season seems less and less likely. Now, when it comes to his overall game, Parayko is a great two-way forward. He has a big body, and how I put in my notes here, he is Pietrangelo's replacement when it comes to being power play, penalty kill, whatever it may be. I fully expect him to have an increase in overall playing time next season, assuming Pietrangelo was out. But this season, in 64 games played, he had 10 goals, 18 assists for 28 points, and a plus-minus of plus 8. Parenko, I really think, is going to take that next step in his overall game. He's only 26 years old, and I expect him to really hit his peak within the next couple years with the St. Louis Blues. I think he's going to be one of their better leaders going forward, assuming Pietrangelo is gone. And if he is, then he is easily going to be taking the brunt of the workload on that power play and special teams overall, which is going to mean more offensive production and more playing time. So expect a significant jump upwards of possibly 40, 45 points even. Who knows? It seems like it's a little bit more uncertain when it comes to him because it all goes hand in hand with if Pietrangelo stays with the team, in my opinion. But that's all I have for you today. So let me know in the comments below if you liked this video, if you feel kind of iffy about it, if you're wondering why I didn't pick some other players, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your feedback, and especially if you're a fan of any of these players, let me know what you think their season is going to be like next year. Do you think they're going to hit career highs or no? I would love to hear it. But if you haven't checked out previous videos, make sure you do right down here below, as all my stuff is NHL content related, things that I feel should be made a video of, and this was definitely one of them. So thank you all again so much, and I'll be back in a day or two.